Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Talk Conversation Series, a peer knowledge resource by the CXOs for the CXOs. Now to our host, Kanika Goswami.
Hello and welcome to our podcast, On Stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. Today we have as our guest Clare Dorrian. She's the CMO of SugarCRM. Hi Claire, how are you today?
I'm really well. How are you?
I'm good. And she's known to be a strategic detailer with about 15 years of experience in leading high-performing global marketing teams. That was a very short introduction, so I'll add something far more interesting than just being a CMO. Claire is also a gifted circus trapeze choreographer and an ornamental pastry chef. That's extremely interesting, Claire. How do you find time to do all these things?
You know, I'm not entirely sure myself, but, you know, I think it's super important, especially, you know, over the last couple of years to find outlets for your creative energy. And, you know, those are more of mine, Kanika. Those are more of mine.
I think it is extremely important too, especially for marketing teams with the amount of stress that you're carrying. You're almost carrying the company on your shoulders. Have I missed anything when I'm talking about your professional introduction? Would you like to tell us something more about yourself, Claire?
You know, I think one of the things that our audience might find interesting is, you know, that I'm a first-time CMO and I joined SugarCRM 6 weeks before the pandemic. So I wasn't fortunate enough to walk a mile in a CMO's shoes without a pandemic to disrupt. So I hope that that's something that, you know, I can share, an experience I can share today with the audience. But yeah, interesting detail.
Oh, no, that's not only interesting detail. That's a very challenging bit which you managed to cross. So would you like to tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I say, I joined six weeks before the pandemic. And so barely had enough time to even meet not only my peers on the executive team, customers, partners, my own team. And so I think like many of us, I found myself forced to build relationships in different ways than I had perhaps been used to. You know, this digital medium of Zoom and the Zoom equivalent fast became my friend. And I think what it taught me is that I had to find different ways to strike connections up, Kanika. And I also had to fast find ways to get up to speed where I think perhaps previously when we were all office based, those corridor conversations, you know, with the sales reps in the field, with the marketing teams in the field, you know, I was stripped of them, like many of the people on joining us today. And yeah, so, you know, as good old marketers do, we lean into our right brain and we get creative about how to reach out, how to engage, and how to find ways to, you know, establish common ground and understanding. And that's no different, you know, as I set myself up for, you know, the role as it was for all of us in marketing, engaging with customers, prospects, and our target market, right?
Oh, yes. And it must have been quite a challenge to do that all digitally, right?
Well, I will say I tired very quickly of the camera. As important as that was, you know, to see eye to eye physically, you know, with internal and external stakeholders, I tired of the camera very quickly.
Then even more challenging and difficult where there is no camera and you're just hearing a disembodied voice, it must not be easy to get your prospects across. So I would say that you've done a great job of learning your job, you know, without the aids that people usually work with when they become a CMO, right?
Thank you. I mean, look, in marketing, I tell my team all the time, if you don't like a challenge and you don't like hard problems to solve, you probably need to think about a career somewhere else. And the pandemic was just another one of those hard problems to solve. Just, I don't think any of us anticipated it would be a 2.5-year problem to solve.
Oh, yes. And we hope you're getting out of it now.
Exactly.
I would like to know a little bit about the company also, about SugarCRM. It's an organization that offers solutions on marketing, sales, and service teams, and how they finally get a clear picture of each customer to help businesses reach new levels of performance and predictability. Sugar is a CRM platform that makes the harder things easier. Is that right? And would you like to add anything more to it, Claire?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We are. And, the CRM market, for those that are joining us, that's something that's been around for over 2 decades and, sadly has had the reputation of, not a very positive reputation. How many times do you hear your sales counterparts complaining about how difficult it is to use their CRM? Too much time is being spent entering manual information versus talking to prospects and customers and accelerating the deal and getting the solution, in the hands of a potential customer. And, at Sugar here, that's a hard problem to solve too. And we're in a market with Goliath. I think that's the other thing I will say about our business. And we are a mid-market company ourselves who are targeting mid-market companies. So many of the challenges that we face as a business, we found that our potential customers and our existing customers face many of the same challenges too.
So that made it that much easier for you to understand your customers' problems and then probably pitch in the right manner, right?
Yeah, it definitely gave us a head start. It definitely gave us a head start, but then what I will say is, you also understand, some of the rebuttals that you're going to get, from your target audience. So it comes
Right.
with its pros and its cons, I would say.
Correct. So, with Sugar CRM, how do you think marketing teams and their structures and roles will change, as MarTech as a segment evolves, as tools and technologies evolve and become better and
Yeah.
more connectivity and all of that? How do you
Yeah.
think the entire market structure is going to change?
Well, I think marketing, maybe more than every business function, is challenged by successive waves of disruption. And to some degree, I think we thrive on that. If you think about it, traditional channels like mass media, they've been disrupted. Advertising models have become less effective. Social media has become, an increased influence on customers and prospects. And then along came a pandemic to accelerate, what had already begun in the advent of digital. And I also think, Kanika, that, the advent of technology has also sparked a bit of a tsunami of data. We are drowning in data in marketing, data that comes from our social media channels, data that comes from the digital channels. And as marketeers, we're having to develop ways of analyzing that and using it to best advantage, right? To help better serve, better educate, better serve, and help our customers be more successful. And I would say that against that backdrop, against that understanding, our remit as a group has extended. And I would say extended for the good. We are no longer the discrete marketing function of 10 years ago, and woe the business who still believes that marketing works in a silo, but much more now a function that extends and touches the whole business, tapping into, virtually every function. And let me give you just a couple of examples to add some color there. I think even in my own team, and I know that's common because I speak to my peers, my marketing operations group, they are such a critical bridge between marketing and IT. My digital team, they are driving innovation, not just for the corporate web properties like they did 10 years ago, but their remit and responsibility has extended out into marketplaces and communities that touch customer support, customer service, the e-commerce teams, way beyond where we were 10 years ago. We're increasingly being asked to work in concert with our sales and service counterparts and have that shared view of customer engagement, so that we don't run a campaign when a customer is much less, is feeling dissatisfied, so that we don't call down on a customer as a sales organization to target them for a particular product that they've previously expressed that they're not interested in. These are the new normals, and I think where that's left us is a team in evolution, is a team with tentacles in areas of the organization that we didn't have 10 years ago. And fundamentally, I think one of the newer roles that has emerged, and I talk about this a little bit with my own team, we're one of the intelligence agents for the organization, with the ability to gather and act on insights about the customer and share those insights about the customer that might benefit other functions. And, one final example to close this out. I know the world that I operate in, and many of the listeners joining us today operate in, customer experience has become a real differentiator in markets where price and product have been commoditized. And so the final relationship that I think has evolved, and the role that has therefore evolved, is one of partnership with the customer experience officer, if that indeed exists in your organization, or the customer experience team. That partnership with them to help build the type of experience that ladders up to what matters to your target customer. That is also a role and a responsibility that I feel marketing has embraced as a consequence of that CX fervor that we are seeing today. So we love change as marketeers, and we have not been shy and short, I think, of dynamics that we have had to react to in the market. And as a consequence, to build core competencies in our team that just didn't exist in the past.
Yeah. So, and you just said marketers are always excited by challenges. So then my next question is about that. All right. How did you deal with the disruptions brought by the pandemic, and how did you stay on top of your marketing game by utilizing technology tools?
Well, I tried not to panic. As I said at the outset, I was just 6
That's a good first step.
Just 6 weeks into a new role myself. My first mantra was stay calm, don't panic. But I think fundamentally, learning how to pivot and pivot fast. If ever there was a time to embrace innovation, it was the onset of the pandemic. If ever there was a time to look inwards and externally to the experiences you were delivering as a marketing organization to your customers, and drive out those inefficiencies and manual processes that really prevented you from focusing on what mattered to the customer, it was then. If ever there was an opportunity, importantly, to look to technology, for new ways of engaging, it was then. And, I think for me, one of the most important investments that Sugar we made as a marketing team was, in technology, and looking at, using it, as I said, to drive an efficiency, to better serve our customers. And I'll just give you, a couple of examples of what we look to. I think, like most, it goes without saying, live in-person events went away. So we had to look to digital event platforms, like Hopin, like Social 27, in order to help us continue to engage with our customers in interactive ways. And we also had to lean into digital, right? We, as Sugar, as I'm sure many of our listeners do, we operate in a market with Goliath, with competition, with deep marketing pockets. And so during the pandemic, as in-person went away, digital became ever more important. And it was really critical for us to try to get ahead of buying cycles in ways that we hadn't before. And so we here at Sugar, we look to intent-based technology to help us understand who was searching for what, where, when, And we married that together, not just with an ABM platform. And by the way, for those interested, we use Bombora and Triblio. Both of them are integrated for those that are curious. But we also went one step further, Kanika, and we integrated the intent insights that we were getting from Bombora into our CRM. Why did we do that? So that our sales reps, so that our marketing, field marketing teams, so that our business development reps could act upon those buying signals in lightning fast time from one central place. And I think for me, that's one of the projects during the pandemic that I'm most proud of, where we utilize technology to try and get ahead of a buying cycle in a way that we hadn't had to previously. And I can say it's had a really positive effect on pipeline, but I think as well, a really positive effect on the very important partnership that we have with our sales teams, because at the end of the day, our success in marketing is so dependent on that relationship and that partnership with your sales counterparts, and it very much helped bring us together and work in concert as one, both in terms of the accounts that we were targeting, but also the orchestration and how we were reacting and who was reacting and what expectations we had around who was reacting to what as we introduced intent and ABM integrated into our CRM. So yeah, we definitely leaned into tech, and I don't think we were alone.
No, absolutely not, because such a rapid digitization happened just because of the pandemic and the disruptions that it caused. So, and my next question is about that totally. In the B2B marketing technology space, we're seeing the integration of automation, AI, and voice technologies. Mm-hmm. How do you think these technologies will impact the future of CRM tools? As a CMO, where do you think the biggest impact will be coming from?
So, I think they play such an important role in helping us be more effective. And I know that there is a perception out there in the market, a lagging perception that, AI and the bots are coming and they're going to take our jobs. For me, I feel like they play very, very nicely together. And that's all about understanding, how AI, what use cases, AI can really help you succeed and accelerate in, and I'll give you just a couple of examples of where we are seeing adoption of AI, and also the types of use cases that we feel has relevance to anybody here today who has CRM or is thinking about CRM. How often do we find ourselves in conversations with our sales counterparts talking about poor quality leads, not the right shape size of leads for us to follow up on? Well, what if, using AI, you could predict the type of lead most likely to convert and only follow up on those leads? What if indeed you could use AI to help you identify your ideal customer profile, to help ensure that your targeting efforts and the segments that you build in your marketing automation system and beyond that you are going after, that you stand best chances of success? What if you could use AI to better understand how your customer is feeling, what the next best action should be as you engage with them as a marketeer? I mean, these are the ways that I feel that historically, as a marketing team and as a sales engine, because like I say, we work in concert and in partnership, we've spent hours and hours and hours in spreadsheets trying to figure all of this out. And that's really the beauty for me of AI, that it can serve up insights that help you be more effective in a much faster timeline than you ever could as a human. And at the end of the day, the net positive for you as a marketeer, as a CMO, as a part of a marketing team is you get to focus on the fun stuff, right? What does the campaign look like that we're going to utilize to reach that target segment that we now know is, core, that we stand most chance of success in? we're using our right brains. We're able to use our right brains so much more. And the net is that as a business, and as a function, you start to drive greater degrees of performance and predictability. And frankly, who doesn't want that? Out with the luck, out with the gut feel. Let's use these AI tools and technology to help complement what it is that we're doing, to help better inform what it is that we're doing.
So, Claire, I think this answer covered my next question as well. So I will just ask you about what would be your key predictions for the near future as far as CRM platforms and tools are concerned, given the fact that the pandemic has changed us unrecognizably over the last 2 years. Things are never going to be the same. The 6 weeks before the pandemic set it when you joined as a CMO, it is never going to be the same again. You will have to do all your learning on digital tools, and AI will help you, as you said. Yeah. So what else do you think will help a CMO stay afloat, reach for better prospects, get into better markets, meet revenue targets? Which other technology, which other tools do you think you can depend on to be there?
So, for me, I think that we need to, as a function, not just lean into our technology. Let's not forget our people here, right? But it's so important for us to get ahead of that buying cycle. Who doesn't want to understand?
That is very true.
Who doesn't?
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I should have asked you that. I should have asked you that in the first instance. What about the human resources which are helping you alongside the technology resources? Where do you think the trend lies for them?
Yeah. So, let me try and answer both, right? Because as I said, I think it's never been more important to get ahead of the buying cycle, right? And to understand who is in market and to engage with them, to get ahead of buying cycles. And I think that certainly if you are anything like Sugar, operating in a market where there are dominant market leaders and you are the Achilles heel, the smaller, more nimble vendor in that space, that is a competitive edge that, looking out there and intent-based marketing tools can help you bring, where you marry the AI of customer intent data with what you know about that customer from your website, from your CRM, and you alert in real time about who's ready to buy to those in your organization who then lead the charge with that, and picking up that buying cycle. For me, the insight and the AI that you can utilize to match that buyer as well to your ideal customer profile, to also ensure that you are targeting the right kind of prospect has never been more key. So I think intent married together with what you know through the website, through your CRM, about your customers is something that we're going to see increased adoption of. And, we talk about that as, AI driven intent. But I think on top of that, and this isn't something that I think wasn't there pre-pandemic. It was, but I think the pandemic accelerated it. And that's personalization, personalizing the experience. We as consumers, we expect the same experience as we deal with software businesses, as we deal with any kind of B2B organization, as we do as a B2C customer ourselves, right? And so even if you have the right understanding of who's in market through intent and what matters to them, even if you're able to marry that with your the insights across the journey, if they're an existing customer from your CRM or engagements that have historically happened as a prospect, because let's face it, perhaps they died on the vine during that engagement. Ensuring that you are able to then use those insights to deliver a more personalized experience is key. And today, I don't mind sharing, we're using Triblio, an ABM platform, to serve up personalized ads, to serve up personalized landing pages that utilizes all those insights, but that makes sure that is written back to the CRM so that anytime the rep or the business development person or the marketing team engage with that very same customer, that they know that interaction and that engagement has happened. And what that means is that, gone is phishing. to support sales teams, you know, and here is more, you know, data driven, more pointed outreach that, you know, hopefully ensures that you stand greater chance of success. And I think the other thing that I see as being really the second approach, I guess, that I see as gaining some momentum is combining, what I would say is engaging with empathy, what under the covers in terms of technology, because this is a technology podcast. You know, I think what we're talking about there is using and leveraging AI to supercharge, you know, sentiment insights, so that sales, marketing, and service teams, you know, better understand their customer prospects' emotional state, you know, prior to engaging. Because let's face it, none of us want to issue a marketing campaign if a customer is in some sort of escalation case, right? That would just not go down well. And you know, ends up wasting dollars. So having sentiment analysis to allow you to be more authentic, more empathetic with your target audience, I think just equips your frontline employees with a better understanding and a more intelligent way to respond. And I think as that relates to the people on your team, I think it's never been more important for you as a marketing organization to have a really good balance of right brain and left brain individuals. You know, you heard me talk about how marketing is becoming that bridge to IT. You need technologists. You've just heard me talk about how AI and insights are really critical. You not only need technologists, you need people who understand and can interpret data as well. And so I think it's also changing the landscape of the type of skills that we recruit for. And, you know, I've deliberately not focused on digital because I think, you know, there's been a lot written about the advent of digital, how that's changing our teams, predictions for what that means for us as a business. And I think that AI is embarking. And by the way, we did a study actually, Kanika, earlier this year. And what I did not find shocking is, and we surveyed some 2,500 folks around the globe, 90+% of them are actively looking to AI to help them solve some sort of marketing or sales use case. And I think that speaks for itself, you know, how that is going to, you know, that we are already actively looking at it to change the landscape of how we operate and what we're able to deliver as a marketing function.
Very interesting to know, Claire. And I would say that I hope you realize that learning the ropes of a CMO during the pandemic has given you a notch above maybe your peers because, you know, you've learned it the hard way. So
it certainly made me, I think, more resilient.
Correct.
I think
so what you would have learned, in 4 years, what you would have learned, you've probably done it in 2 years with generous help from digital technologies. We should not forget that, as well as remote teams. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. So I wish you all the best with this big stack of knowledge that you've acquired in the most difficult times I think mankind faced in the last century. But best of luck going forward.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me today. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much for your time, Claire. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content.